Raz Addictions on Facebook.com for all kinds of cool prizes. Tell them what you've won, Dave.
I won everything from NFL tailgating barbecue sets. I've got old school helmets. I've got new style helmets. I've got memorabilia rings. I've got signed banners. I've got signed footballs. I've got everything that Raz Addiction offers, folks. They also have more that I haven't won, which is surprising, but they're cheap, affordable, and they're certified stuff that you can win. So go ahead and check it out.
That's Raz Addictions on Facebook.com. Go there, play, and win. And now it's time for shout-outs.
We have Miss at Julie Noted _ PFG NFL writer and co-founder with at Backs Football Guru of at PFG Vibe and PFG Vibecast. Julie is also a cult writer for at Our Turf Football, a women's group of sports writers with having great pieces and is a great sports follow. Also, we have PackToTheFuture.com, where it features us on their podcast sections, where you can get all the things you didn't even know, where you can check out Packers news and check out tickets to the games and even Packer event updates.
At Parker Momos is a Packers writer and contributor for Die Hard Packer Fan, a great young writer with a different view of the game and brings a ton of energy and passion to his work. Then you've got at MontyJP231, the founder and host of the Full Monty Football Show every Sunday live at 11 a.m. Eastern, featured by Nuts and Bolts Sports on blogtalkradio.com. He works hard on Sundays so you don't have to. And follow the rest of the crew too at Greg Cowboys, at Lion Cuban, and at the other George Lopez. Again, that's at MontyJP231 on the Twitter.
We're going to round this out with the NFC North Round Table Fellas. Starting off with at Mike Zimmer's Ears. JB is co-host of the Heart and Skull podcast. Then we have at the Fifth Top. Julius Porter is a Detroit native Lions writer for at Detroit Sports Nation, and Uncle Mike 21. Austin Fugelstad is the co-host of at Hollis Hall Brawl, covering all the things you need to know about the Bears, Vikings, Lions, and Packers from these fellas. Also, special shout out to Julius Porter. He's going over to Afghanistan, folks. He's going over to be a contractor to help set up for the soldiers. Go ahead and keep him in your prayers. We're going to miss you, buddy. We'll be holding a spot for you when you get back. We'll miss you and love you.
Much love, Julius. Stay safe, buddy. And as always, you can follow us on the Twitter at First and Goal Pod, myself at UPJ33, Dave is at Steak and Cheese, the fantasy wonder himself, Dylan at DylanBusby1. Email us at firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com with all your football and Packer questions. Give us your comments, and you just might end up making the show live. Again, that's firstandgoalpodcast@yahoo.com.
And I got nothing to show, just climbing this rope right here. And if there's a man upstairs, he kept bringing me rain. But I've been sending up prayers and something's changed. I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment all my life now. All my dreams are coming true, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment. It's good to be alive right about now.
All right, we are back. Time to close out the show. Final thoughts, Dave. I know you're tired as hell.
Final thoughts. Another Chargers type game. Take the game plan, scrap it, throw it away, do whatever you need to, forget about it. There was some good things, but nothing worthy to keep besides the Smith brothers sacks. That's it. Move on to Giants next week. Get the W. Get the 9 wins. You have 4 out of the next 5 games that are very winnable. You have Giants, you have Washington, you have Chicago, you have Detroit. Those 4 wins can help get them to 12 wins. And who knows, bye weeks still might be there.
Yeah, I look at this one like I'm done blaming a bunch of other players. I think this is, again, I've said it a few times on the show, leadership or attitude reflects leadership. And therefore, the issue this season in their losses, I've said it and I'm going to say it again in my closing arguments here. It's the offense versus the upper echelon defenses or the elite defenses. And the problem consistently is the fact that Rodgers will not put his ego and the team above himself. It is a time when you need to do that. You're actually better up to have the attitude he had tonight against teams that you can pull that shit off and make mistakes and still pull it out and look really good. Like, again, if Patrick Mahomes plays, they'd have 4 losses, just like I thought they would this time of the year. And they all would have come against elite teams.
So get this.
And unlike the rest, though, the Chargers are the anomaly because they're flip-flopped. Their offense is elite and their defense is
Zach Cruz just came out and said something that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
The 2019 Packers are the 2015 Packers.
What does that mean exactly then? In your
pass rush is really good. You got one wide receiver that you can rely on. 2015 you had James Jones. 2019 you have Devontae Adams. A secondary that's very shaky and gives up the big plays. A middle linebacker that's not there. And a running game that shows up every 1 to 2 games.
That's true.
I mean, I think about it, it really is. It's like almost and the thing is, Packers were a one drive stopped in Arizona in overtime away from one Larry Fitzgerald big play away from going to the NFC Championship in 2015. And Cardinals got shellacked in that game.
Because
I always
Carson
feel Green Bay would have put
Palmer
it.
was terrible.
Oh, I know. Exactly. That's what I said the other day when Dylan brought that shit up.
That was this morning, FYI.
Oh, it was? See, that's how tired
Yeah.
actually it was yesterday because it's 1:04.
Oh,
Woo!
whatever.
But that Zach's got a point though. I mean, it almost matches up with 2015 Packers.
It does. It feels like it does. It does feel like this team is gonna go through this soft part of the schedule, do okay, possibly, and really at this point, the way I feel, the Vikings game's a toss-up. The rest, I think, are W's. That means they possibly win the division. If that's the case, even if they don't win the division, I think they beat whoever they face off in the wild card team because it's not an elite team. Because I don't think the Vikings are an elite team with Kirk Cousins. I think the Vikings are just in their stretch run of what the Packers were in their 4 or 5 game winning streak. I think the Packers and the Vikings are almost identical as far as everything outside of their quarterback. I think the Vikings are a finesse team. I think when they face the upper echelon teams, especially defenses, Kirk Cousins shrinks, the offense shrinks. They have problems. They're more of a finesse pass blocking line. The receivers get jammed up. I think the Vikings have all the same issues the Packers have, ironically, when it comes to facing the actual elite teams that have proved it year in and year out. Or even, I know people are like, well, the 49ers were 4-12 last year. Yeah, that's because they lost their quarterback that we've seen, regardless of what you want to nitpick. He can do what they need him to do to score a hell of a lot of points and be more than good.
Yeah, I agree. Also, too, one more thing. I don't, unless Packers come away with a Super Bowl, or even a Super Bowl appearance, hell, even an NFC Championship game appearance. I think Jimmy Graham gets cut in the offseason. I think
now,
if he
wait
would
a
have,
second. Where is this coming from? This is kind of left field. So explain yourself before we get going. I know you're
I
tired,
think
so
Jimmy,
this could be a tired ramble rant. I'm
no,
gonna feed
I've been
it.
I've been thinking about this earlier. So even though the refs official came in over Sunday Night Football and said, yeah, it should be Green Bay's ball at the 20-yard line, and with 3 steps and a knee down. Well, Jimmy also should have hung on to the ball. In my opinion, if he held on to the ball, there wouldn't be any doubt whether it was a catch or not. They wouldn't need to worry about if it's a challenge. He's always dropping those big plays. Yeah, he's catching the 10-yard plays or the little 3-yard plays that goes for 7 yards, but I'm talking about the 40 to 50-yard bombs.
It's the gotta have it plays in the clutch moments.
Yes, and he drops them all the time. $11 million per year. No, it ain't worth it to keep him next year. It frees up $5.5 million. You get to $31 million in cap. You can re-sign other guys that are vital to the team. I am on the fence about Bulaga. It depends on how his knee works out. 2, Blake Martinez. No, I'm done with him. Done. I just watched Packers. Straight third downs and he got ran over.
I will jump on board there because I was given. Remember when we had this discussion before? Mm-hmm. It was during Kenny Clark's stretch where he was not doing it. He is doing his job, and Blake Martinez has regressed completely. Everything that I gave him credit for when we went on the Full Monty Football Show, it wasn't that I was lying or the tape or I was trying to say something that wasn't true.
He's taking two steps back.
I was giving you what the tape was showing me, and then when he did regress, it was because there was a player in front of him that is I personally, and the way I was taught, I was giving him the benefit of the doubt because a player that's important to his success was regressing in front of him. I have a sample size now where the players in front of him taking Lancaster out. I don't care. Just take him out of the picture. He should be able to do his job. You're going to give him credit for the sack, and again, this is where I come back to it's what's irritating me about this Packers organization. The Patriot way is to recognize this by self-scouting and eradicate it from your roster and replace it. And it doesn't always mean just cut. Like, you can't just cut Blake Martinez. There's not an adequate replacement. But it means, like Dave
I want to see Burks.
In the offseason, you know you're not re-signing him. So you slowly are working through the practice schedule and in games in these other players to see what they have, knowing you're not going to re-sign him and he's not the player you want. And regardless of how it hurts his feelings or not, it doesn't matter to you because you don't need to worry about dealing with his agent in his contract negotiations. And trust me, if you're going to try to sit there, well, agents have more than one player. An agent, when he is given a good, fair deal, regardless of any other interactions he's had with that team for other clients, unless it's really, really, really nasty, salty, it ain't going to fucking matter because their job is to get the player the best amount of money where they want to play.
Yep.
It's not about their personal feelings. They have to eat shit and eat crow all the time and go back to teams that have kicked them in the teeth because it's in the best interest of their client. So.
Nope.
All right.
I think Blake's done. I think Jimmy's done. I think Tremon's done. Because Tremont was on a 2-year deal, $5 million back-to-back. This was the second year. Yeah, we don't need 45-yard touchdown receptions given up because Tremont can't keep up with a younger cat. That's what that was tonight, and there's just no excuse for it. They just raved about him not even 2 minutes prior, Jay. Collinsworth literally said, yeah, this guy's ageless. He does all the work. He needs to put in for it, and toasted.
Well, some of that is, I feel like, is nepotism in the organization. That's why I mentioned the Patriot Way. They don't